Welcome to the Luxe Leap. My name is Reland Logan, and we chat about women consultants making bold moves, big wins, and the secrets to extraordinary branding. So I have a question for all of you. What if your business strategy could be just as values-driven as it is results-driven? What if you could measure the integrity of your mission, not just the size of your profit margin? That's exactly where Jordan comes in. She's the founder of Collective Lift Coaching and Consulting, where she helps small business owners align their strategic plans with their core values so they can grow with intention, lead with purpose, and prove their impact with data that actually matters. Using evidence-based models and research-backed methods, Jordan empowers organizations to go beyond buzzwords and actually live their values. Her approach brings clarity, accountability, and transformation to teams ready to lead charge from the inside out. So if you're ready to build a business that's both principled and powerful, you're about to get lifted. Please welcome strategists helping value-driven leaders rise and my friend Jordan King from the Collective Lift. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. That was so kind.
Of course, of course, of course. You are the whole reason we have new intros here. So everyone, if you're ever curious, Jordan is the reason why. That's what friends are for, everyone. So Jordan, just to kick it off, to give everybody context, otherwise you and I could probably go on a million rabbit trails and nobody would ever know just because we know each other. But what inspired you to start your brand? Give us the brief Reader's Digest version.
Yeah. So there's kind of really two key points in my life that led to this. So the first was several years ago, I got laid off from a job and like from a very standard corporate job. And I realized that I never wanted to only have one source of income again, because of course that, you know, I'm married. And so between my husband and I and unemployment, we were fine. But there could have been a bridge to help close that gap financially, also just mentally and emotionally. And then the second thing was I decided to get my master's in industrial organizational psychology. And during that time, I was working at another large corporate company. And I just realized that I hadn't seen really any of what I was learning in that program being implemented in that business world. And so I was like, okay, I feel like this is a good marriage of, let's have this extra income on the side, but let's also bring kind of this academic approach to the business world, which I think is often overlooked.
They do really operate in separate silos in society, and they're vastly different.
Yes. And sometimes I do think I feel like for me, I relatively easily convert like the academic findings into the business world in this area specifically, right? Um, but there's so many things in the business world that I see people doing that are like, sure, it might work for you, but it doesn't work across the board. And then when others are trying it, it's like, no wonder it doesn't work because there's no evidence to suggest that it is effective broadly.
You wouldn't be insinuating that YouTube University is probably not a valid source of truth, huh?
I mean, no, I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, okay. You know, so we all know how I feel about it at this point in time in life.
What's the word?
Well, Jordan, when you think back on that, I mean, there are a lot of points on that timeline for you. What was a pivotal moment in your brand's journey that really defined where you are right now today?
Yeah, so for me, a couple years ago when I joined, did my audio just get weird?
No, you're good.
Nope. Okay, sorry. Um, a couple years ago, I joined the board of a nonprofit, and it was during all of our workshops that I was facilitating and the strategy that I was building for that organization that really kind of gave me the confidence, but then also, the experience. And I kind of use it as a case study sometimes to say, no, this is actually valuable. The organization was not, they had a strategy and they loosely had a vision and things, but I really came in and was able to facilitate conversations and workshops that made things concrete and asking the right questions to make people think about, we have these four values. First of all, are these values still accurate for this board? But then are we actually living our values? Like, how are we really showing up to our members? And the answer was we weren't for all of them. So, yeah, I feel like that was really like the moment where I realized, oh, this is how we can change an organization, how they measure things, what they measure, and make it really values based. And then using evidence based strategies that I learned in grad school and applied them to organizations.
That's incredible. And it's incredible that that one moment in time kind of shaped how we interact with everybody moving forward. Because, I was literally in a meeting before this call, you know, and I had made the comment, I'd fully made the comment that they didn't have a funnel that had strategic points of where somebody was getting from point A to point B to point C. They had an idea of one,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, but there are places that are broken, like they do not connect. So, there's a difference between taking, my brain just popped in, like, remember those old ABC wood blocks we played with as kids that I doubt they
Yes.
even know what they are anymore?
Probably, yeah.
Um, where it's like, okay, I have the A block, the B block, the C block, the D block. They all have space in between them. Some have bigger gaps than others, yet we're trying to pretend like they are connected as one, and they would only be if we glued them and we created that. And so when somebody said, they're like, yeah, we do have a funnel. It took everything in my power in that moment to not say, no, you don't. You think you do because you have the
Mm-hmm.
idea of it on paper, but functionally, does it progress that way? No. And I think that when you think about that, that's also like, okay, yeah, we have values. We totally have values, Jordan. And then it's like, yeah, but do you actually live them?
100%.
Because there's a huge difference and there's gaps between those value blocks.
Exactly. And I think sometimes, when you're in an organization, um, as a leader or whatever role you have, you kind of just get tunnel vision and you developed this thing a year ago, these values, for example, and you don't realize how much has changed in that year and how much maybe your values have changed or they've evolved a little bit, at least over that year. And even the values can stay the same, but the strategies may need to change um, to reflect, those values in the way that you're interacting with your employees or clients. And so, yeah, I think that's a great example. Like maybe they had a really clear funnel when that was first established, but over time it got diluted and it just needed to be revamped or redone or whatever it was.
And also looked at almost daily. Like, are we
Yes.
really in it or are we not? I think sometimes we're just like, that was cool. And we just like flitter off into the ether. And then we're like, oh, yeah, no, we have that. There's a difference between having something and living something. There just truly is.
100%. And
Where's
it's,
the line?
yep. Hmm.
And that's why they have you to determine where's the line? How do we measure it?
And that's exactly like, how do you know you're doing it, right? Like, can you measure it? And sometimes things are hard to measure, but we generally can measure most things, in my opinion.
We can. It doesn't always have to be quantitative. There's qualitative measurements. We can
Oh,
measure it.
absolutely. Yep.
Weirdly, I had that conversation with somebody earlier today too.
Oh,
Wow.
funny.
This is all coming very full circle today.
I love it.
Somebody was like, well, I just work with them in the beginning part. And so I don't have the data on if it works or not. If you ever catch yourself saying that, everyone listening to this who feels like you can't build credibility around your consulting brand, please go back to the people you've helped before and see where things have changed. You'll find quantitative data in that space, or you'll find out how ineffective you are. And maybe that's what you're afraid of.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's something that is really important to me as I work with my clients. So I generally work with people for like 1 to 2 months at first, a bit more intensely and more often, frequently, to get their plan established and going. But then I follow up with them 3, 6, and 9 months later, generally, to make sure that does that plan actually work? Are we measuring the right things? Are you seeing improvements where you want to see improvements? And, and we make adjustments as needed, because I think to just create something and hand it off and then to not go back and kind of check your work is like, I don't feel great about that. Companies are investing their time and resources into working with you, and same, I want my time to
Yes.
be valuable. And yeah, I want to get back an ROI too. So I think it also helps me just to make sure that the work I'm doing is really value add to organizations.
And so the to your point on ROI, it's like when there's somebody who is their podcast is before yours, and her big thing on ROI is like return on impact. Like, what is that
Oh, I
impact
love
that
that.
is happening? And some of us who are at the front loading is what I'll call it. Like, you have a front loading consulting business, almost every consultant does. As a brand strategist, like mine is also front loading. Like, we may not see the impact until 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, 1,269 days of time. And so we have to go back and check with those folks, but also checking with those folks is really important, because you also might find a gap in opportunity to help you go further.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, ideally, I'm setting my clients up for success and they are able to adapt and implement our plans and then take it and run with it. But what sometimes happens is that they do that, but then they find something else that needs to be adjusted. And so, I think it's great for both of us because they're improving, but I'm also continuing to work with a client, which means I'm increasing my revenue, which of course is great. And I would imagine it's kind of similar for you and your business, where if you do some marketing strategy with a client, um, they've grown, and so now they need to refine or adjust their strategy, and
Always.
it's it's like I my one of my favorite sayings is like, a tide rises all boats, like, or whatever that is. And so yeah, if your client's rising, you're rising too. And again, it's great for everyone. So
It really is. And as it's rising, the thing I always like have always said to everybody is like, who's lifting the anchor? And we have to help them lift the anchor so we can all sail. And sometimes that tide's going to rise us, but there's something that could keep us stuck. And so, like, if we can't identify those within the strategy and we just go, 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 if you keep trying to sail with an anchor down, I regret to inform you, you're not going very far.
yeah, it's not going to work out.
It'll suck
Yeah,
just a little, and by a little, I mean a lot.
yeah.
So, I love this. This has been a very fun intellectual conversation. I haven't had one of these in a hot second since I went and listened to a professor talk about black holes in physics. I'm a nerd.
Wild. I
I
love it.
know. Um, st- Secrets out, everybody. I am a closet nerd.
We need to
So,
talk about that later.
I would love to. The concept of it was really mind blowing, and um, actually showed how people's brains work. So, since we both have like a background in psychology in different places, not to talk about the whole black hole talk and the physics of it, and looking at cosmology and how stars work and all of these fun things. The craziest part about that talk was after the fact. So we left the theater. I am standing in a doorway. And so I'm kind of off the street, like waiting for my Uber. Um, and I watched people walk past me, and they said some of the most unintelligent things with the thought process that you could watch in real time, that they were being highly intelligent. And it was watching someone practice being smarter, for a lack of a better way to put this. But it almost feels like what it feels like when you hop into a call with a new company, or in a call and people think they're being strategic when they're not, kind of like that
Mm.
person who said, "We do have a funnel." And I'm like, "No, you don't." But some of the comments made as I was standing in this doorway, where, wow, he was really smart. I wonder what school in the UK he's a professor at. Well, first off, we have programs. Second, we also have Google.
Yeah.
And I said that out loud. I go, sir, you have Google. And he just kind of looked at me. I was like, and then my boyfriend happened to actually answer what school it was. And then another person, like, you know how we have the scooters in cities where people can like
Yes.
swipe their card, use them. They literally go, how does the scooter make it up the hill? And I was like, oh, Lord, you just left a physics talk. Like,
No.
what is happening? And
Yeah.
so I also see that sometimes when I step in from a strategy perspective, where they're like, yeah, we post on Instagram every day. And I was like, that's a tactic.
That, yeah, that's a task under your strategy. That is not a strategy. Yeah.
And so I wonder how many people utilize tactics as a thought of a strategy and under, don't fully understand quite yet that we need touch bases with strategists like yourself to get us back on track.
Mm.
Because otherwise we just hear things like, well, we have values. We have social media.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of any other examples that me and you might hear on a regular basis. We have goals. You do you? When's the last time you reflected on them?
When's the last time you looked at them? And do you check in on them on a regular basis to make sure that you're making progress? Also, are they the right goals? Are they still valid based on the environment, how any staffing changes that might have happened, all of
On
that?
that note, do your new staff members know the goals?
Yeah. How were they onboarded? Like, is that part of your onboarding process? Because it should be. That's oh, I had just had a client, we created her values, a vision and a mission statement for her organization, and she just onboarded her first employee, which was super exciting for her. Um, and so I kind of like HR is not my area of expertise by any means, but I know a little bit about it. So I'm like, okay, let's create an onboarding plan for your new employee. Um, and one of my things was like, let's create a one pager for your organization that includes your mission, vision, and values, and then your goals so that she can see. And the organizational goals are not her goals necessarily, right? But like they should feed into them. And so let's make sure that everything is aligned to continue to elevate the organization. Anyways,
No, but I agree because that very rarely happens. Very rarely
yes.
happens and should also be
Mhm.
shared in the interview process. But that's like me and you are not HR experts, but we're just going to throw that out there for anybody who's listening. So Jordan, as we look to the future and wherever time can take us, whether it's to black holes and beyond, what are your long-term goals on the note of goals for expanding your brand's
Yeah.
impact?
Yeah. So I honestly struggle with this a bit as far as like, I'm not totally sure what they are. Um, I know that, so my general mission is to bring the same level of consulting expertise to small businesses that larger enterprises get from the big four.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have worked for a big four before. I have that experience. I've seen what it's like. And um, there's definitely value in it. You know, sometimes they just use a lot of buzzwords in their deliverables, but it's fine. Um, and yeah, so I really just want to kind of bridge that gap and help small businesses grow as much as they want to. Um, yeah, so I'm not necessarily trying to become the next like, you know, insert name of huge influencer or business consultant that you love and follow. I really just want to deliver good work for my clients, good quality, consistent work, and help them achieve their dreams while also moving me closer towards my goals is really, yeah, that's, I mean, kind of in short, which was actually kind of long. But that is really my long-term goal.
Well, I think that's perfect and valid. Not everybody wants to be the next big entrepreneur influencer. Honestly, that carries a lot of weight in some ways, where it might, I don't want to say it devalues what you can bring to the table, but there's a different level when things are one-to-one versus one-to-many. And and it changes the scope. It just changes the scope fully and completely. It does change the scope of how you do work and your ability to pivot. When you're working one-on-one with someone, it's very tailor-made versus when it is one-to-many, it's like, okay, we have to have like the base concept and then make sure you show up to Q&A session so we could maybe see if we can dive in a little bit deeper. But it's never the same level of a relationship as one-on-one will afford you.
It's not. And yeah, and I think there's a time and place for
Mhm.
that, for those larger organization or larger consulting or engagements rather. Um, yeah, and I don't know that that's the space I want to play in. And so yeah,
Hey,
so when you work with me, you work with me. I do sometimes have a virtual admin that helps me process and like do some, back end work. But when you work with me, you're getting me. So
it's
yeah,
amazing. That's incredible.
thank you.
Um, so as we look to that, I mean, you're only one woman. You only have an finite amount of time. How will your marketing strategy adapt to support and maintain where you're at right now?
Yeah, this is such a good question. And to be honest, I hadn't fully thought about it
It's okay.
until talking to you. And so, yeah, I'm not totally sure is kind of my first answer, but I do envision it including more kind of marketing in this way. So being a podcast guest, um, I am starting to write for my website, so I'll have some kind of like blog posts on there. Yeah, and you know, there's a balance between giving things away for free and then, having some sort of paywall, or I don't quite know what that looks like, but um yeah, because I do want to be accessible. I think accessibility is super important. So I'll have to balance that. But yeah, I think, more podcast guest opportunities. And then I do also I have an idea of building kind of a do it yourself course
Hmm.
that people can take and walk through on their own if they don't have the time or the resources to work with me one on one. They can kind of DIY it and get as far as they can on their own through that. So,
I think that's incredible to take that time to build that thought leadership is going to be really impactful. And I always hint that this exists and nobody will find it on my website. And hey, as of right now, that is still the truth. You will not find it on the website. Um, there are a few steps you have to take because I recognize the importance of strategy first and a strong foundation. But the concept of extraordinary authority, I have built with a few clients now and myself is this idea of 52 weeks of thought leadership content to get that out. That includes podcasts, that includes blogs, but how you get that out and then be able to break it up in a way that is evergreen. Because
mm,
I don't believe that you should have to sit down at your computer every single day and post. I think that is a waste of energy and time. And that's not what I'm doing, even though I post a lot. So it's really being mindful about like how do you put out that thought leadership to create that authority that doesn't look like everyone else's. And there's intentionality behind that, but I also think it's a really smart and intelligent way to go about things when you are consultants into that world. So
yeah,
how you say it is going to be the difference between if someone should work with you versus working with metaphorical competition, whomever that might be.
yeah, I totally agree.
So I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Are you ready to transition to the fun questions of life?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Because, it wouldn't be the Luxe Leap if I didn't ask you, what does a day living a luxurious life look like to you?
Yeah. So it's funny, I think about this often, like, what is my ideal day? Um, which is similar, but maybe not the same as a luxurious day in the life. Anyways, um, So I actually like to get up early in the morning. I'm a morning person. So wake up, have some time to myself to kind of journal and slowly have my tea or coffee, whatever I'm drinking that morning. Um, do a little bit of work for a client and then get out for a trail run, ideally. So we're pretending this is like summertime and there's no
Fair.
snow on the trails, okay? Um, yeah, get out for a trail run for an hour or two, come back, clean up, and then do a little bit of work. I mean, this is like my ideal luxurious day, so I'm gonna build in a nap, and then I love naps, and then maybe read a book and kind of hang out, make some food for dinner, and relax. So a little bit of everything in the day.
Just a sampler plate of a day in the life. I
Yeah.
know. Mine always includes getting on a jet to Europe.
Oh, that is a good one. That is a good ad.
Somehow I seem to think that the flight isn't like a trillion hours, but in my brain it's like two. And you know,
I mean, you can work on the plane and
can
then, if like working out is your thing, the plane could have weights on it.
it could. It's a private plane now, everybody. There's a whole treadmill. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, if that's your jam.
no,
Or
I'm more
maybe
of a
there's just a
reformer
big screen.
Pilates.
Okay, there you go. You can have that. You can totally have that on your private jet. Do that on the way, a little bit of work, some reading, family time. I mean, it's not that long of a flight, but
I mean, that's true. I would have Grayson with me. Like the dream is always there's a flight, typically to France, with the little monster alongside of me, who won't be that little by that point, but it's it's okay. It's okay. He's still with me all the time, as if in my dream state, my teenage to 20-something-year-old son would want to spend all the time in the world with his mom. I'll continue to live in
maybe
that
he
dream too.
will. Maybe
Maybe
he will.
if mom's taking him to France, probably.
Then he probably will opt for that. Yes, I would.
He's probably gonna be like, the rest of you kick rocks. I'm going with my mom.
Mhm.
All right. Last one, best one. You ready?
Yes.
In one word, what is your primary motivation in business?
Yeah. Um, I would say, so in one word, um, I'm just gonna say lift, which is part of my company's name, right? Is Collective Lift. And it's really, like I said earlier, to kind of lift everyone. Like, I think if everyone improves, it's creating a better world. And I think we all agree that, that we could
He's
probably
one of
use
those.
a better world. Um, so yeah, I'll say lift in that I mean kind of the literal collective lifting of everyone in whatever it is they do.
I absolutely love it. And I agree. We need to lift everyone for a better world. And we can only do it if we do it together. So, and if more women were in charge, but that's here nor there. We talk about that on every
Agreed.
episode. So, Jordan, thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful for you, for your friendship, for just the work that you bring, the ability to have such intelligent conversations with one another. I love it. I love it. I love it. And for anyone who's listening, thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to two friends chit chat about all things strategy. No wonder that we're friends. And if you are looking to really make that shift to being values driven and live those values, please give Jordan a call. Her information will be in the show notes. And if you are looking to uplevel your brand strategy, really get out there, build that thought leadership, go ahead and give me a call. Also, notes are in the show notes. But if you're driving and you want to know how you can connect with Jordan when you get safely to a stoplight, Jordan, tell them how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can either go to my website, it's Collective Lift, LIFT.cc, or you can shoot me an email, Jordan, Jordan, just like Michael Jordan, at collectivelift.cc.
Amazing. All right, y'all. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Perfect. Bye.